it's not the beginning of our day-to-day. Today's been a really long one. So let's go ahead, take you back to the beginning of the day. First thing this morning, 8 a.m., we went to go get the trailer. And Gil, what did you do?
But in the way of the trailer that we had to move first of all. Once we got the wood moved, we had the trailer hooked up, we had to run over to Gokart, find a few parts for our whiteboard, which is blue, find a few parts for our friend's truck, which we didn't find, and find a rear bumper for my truck, which we didn't find.
Junkyard days are never easy. They never go like you think they're going to go. But after that, we got to spend some time with our good buddies up at Mid Pond a little bit later. You're going to see some short clips from there. Had a great time out there.
And if you've never been to Mid Pond before, it is a drift track that used to be a go-kart track. Not the go-karts you're thinking of. They were very fast go-karts. It was a lot of fun. Now it's a drifting course, and the guys that you'll meet out there are all car crazy, and they are tire crazy too. We saw 3 blown tires within an hour, would you say? And that didn't stop them from drifting. Even with the tire blown, they were still hammering it. It was a lot of fun, and we can't wait to show you.
So after that, we got a chance to go ahead and get this guy loaded up, and we're going to show you some more of this thing a little bit later. But we got this thing loaded up today, went through, dug through my shop, which is an absolute train wreck right now. I'm having some work done, and everything is out of the shop and all in giant piles. So we had to dig up some of the parts from this, because this is a project that I got started on a long time ago. So a little bit about what we know on this thing, because there's a whole lot that we don't know. And we'll talk a little bit about that too. What we do know about this is this was a prototype for our race series. It originally had a Yamaha 1100 XS motor in it, had about 95 horsepower. The motor that was in it says 79. No idea when this thing was built, for what. I will tell you this, I got this thing out of South Florida about 10 years ago, and we've got some really cool goals for that.
We do. This originally had an 1100cc motor out of a Yamaha 1100 XS. Now it's going to have a motor out of a 2002 CB900F. That's 919 cc's. The top speed at the time was, well, we'll have to look that up for you. We did look up our horsepower numbers. It's 109 horsepower as opposed to, what did we find on the other one?
The 1100 originally had about 95 horsepower, so we've gotten a little bit of gain from the old motor there.
We do have a little bit of gain there, and we also are changing some things. You've got to consider tire size versus a motorcycle, your sprocket gearing, and we've done the math on all that, as well as the transmission gearing. We came up with a theoretical top speed of 216 miles an hour. Now, this vehicle does not have any suspension, so that will get to 216 miles an hour. It's very rigid. That being said, we've only rolled it down a driveway. We haven't even gotten into the seat because you have to climb in through the top, and almost nothing is working on it. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us.
So we've got some goals here. We're going to try and get this thing to an 8-to-1 power to weight ratio. So that will be absolutely ludicrous. But with the way it's geared, it should still be drivable. That's at least what we're hoping for here. Back behind us, we've got Gil's Corvette. We're going to take some time, take this up to Mid Pond and Gil's Corvette. We're going to pit them head to head against each other and see if we can take this budget beater to take on Big Money Bet.
We're also going to take it out to a drag strip and see if we can beat a 12-second quarter mile. I told myself I'd never take another car to the drag strip after I took my E30 for his birthday at Steel and ruined my car. So I don't want to do that to my nice car as my daily driver, but with the right temptation, I might be willing to do it.
So this is a project that I actually got started on 10 years ago. Went down to South Florida, picked it up, unloaded it off the trailer, and it got put on the back burner. I started again 6 years ago. Started taking it apart, got started, got my wheels powder coated, got the motor that we see on it today. It was actually off of a 2002 CV900F. Unfortunately, the previous owner of the bike decided that he wanted to ride a ladder down the interstate and totaled his bike. So it made an excellent chance for me to be able to get an affordable donor platform to provide us with not only a motor but a wiring harness and some of the setup that we needed to get.
Now this car is going to need several things. We've got to do, well, first of all, we're going to make sure that the engine runs, because it hasn't run in
Probably 5 or 6 years since the last time this thing even turned over.
and that's not a problem. We'll get it running. Then we're going to strip it down, blow it apart, and sandblast it. We're going to paint the frame. We're going to work on the body work last. As you can see, it's just rattle canned at this moment. Once we put it all back together, we're going to get the engine and wiring figured out. We're going to do the fuel system and the coolant, because right now we can only get it running on the motorcycle fuel tank, and we think that was a priming issue the first time that we tried to start it a while ago. We've also got to figure out how to mount the chain, because this was originally on a slide system that would give you the tension. We got a couple of ideas on that. If you have a suggestion, feel free to comment and tell us what you think. Next, we've got to work on the shifter and clutch. This has a hand shifter with a hand clutch like you'd find on a motorcycle. We like that idea. We toyed with the idea of an air shifter. There's a lot more involved with that, including some computer work that we may not be capable to do at this time, and the hand shifter seems to work well, so we're going to work with that. Next is going to be our brakes, and then we're going to get to the body after that, and we've still got a few steps left, Brad.
Yeah, so one of the really hard things with a custom project, as crazy as this thing is the exhaust. You really need somebody to custom fab one, and the way this is set up for a side exit exhaust. So a custom built header is going to have to be done. That's probably going to be our major expense in this project. Pretty much everything else we're going to be able to get out of very, very cheaply. So hopefully we'll be able to get through this without a whole lot of expense. We'll be able to have a really, really fun budget ride. But the one thing we're really going to have to throw down some money on is having that exhaust fabricated to fit this 919cc engine into something like this, because of course no bike components are going to work. Next up after that, we're going to have to set up our gauges. We do have the factory motorcycle gauges, but we're probably not going to use those. We're probably going to go to some aftermarket gauges. We do have actually lights for this thing, and because we have the wiring harness off the bike, we can actually set up turn signals, brake lights, headlights. We can set all that up if we want to go ahead and get that done. We also need to work on our seating, seat belts, because seat belts in something like this are of course a necessity. And then we're going to have some other miscellaneous things to do. So I have a few things that I need from you guys. We don't have a name for this thing. We don't know anything about it. So go down to the comments below. Please suggest some names for us. And if you know anything about these carts, there's a few of them out there. I know there was at least 4 of them built. Please, if you know anything, I would love to know some history behind this thing. So comment down there below. Come up with a name for us, guys. And what we're probably going to do is in our next video, we're going to set up a link for you guys to be able to vote on that. And remember, you can always find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Tack and Track. Thank you so much for your time, guys.
Be sure to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching the channel.